Hello. Hi everyone. I hope you had a nice weekend. And oh my gosh, okay, hello. Having a nice hello from my dogs here. Hope that they will not, that they will settle down and that they will not bother me too much. Otherwise, I am going to be the one who is overwhelmed by this video. Yes, so today we are going to be talking about overwhelm. I hope you had a nice weekend. Sorry, I'm just jumping straight ahead here because I don't know how to... okay, let me just push them away. Okay, up, settle. Right. So, let's dive right in then. What is overwhelm? And what does it feel like to be overwhelmed? Overwhelm is the feeling we get when we have too much of something going on. Like right now, you know, if my dogs come and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do the live. And so I can get a whole lot of feeling of anxiety coming up. And that can drive me to overwhelm for doing the live with you guys. Even though I love doing it, it's still having to talk in front of, I think, 300 more plus of you members of this group now. It can feel overwhelming, so sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, so I need to calm down, breathe, and otherwise I get into overwhelm. And I am sorry for the dogs' noises because now they are a little bit excited of seeing me outside. It's also the feeling that we have when we have too much to do and too little time to do it. So we tend to get into that mode where we feel that we can't deal with it all, and we really we have all these things to do. And all of this can translate into feeling like we need some air, we can't breathe. It can feel like we are being exhausted. It can feel like we run away from things. Sometimes I have a lot of people who get overwhelmed, and their way of dealing with it is they will procrastinate and they will not move forward and do things. So there's different ways for overwhelm to show up in our life, but most of all, I would say it's like having our brain hijacked and sort of feeling like that we can't deal with everything that is going on. May it be the things that we have to do, or may it be the feelings that we are having. So I must say, I have mostly encountered, I'm not saying it's always the case, but a lot of time I've encountered overwhelm from mums more than from dads. Dads tend to be, men in general, tend to be more sort of one-tracked when it comes to thinking and to categorizing things, whereas we women, we tend to sort of tackle a whole lot of things and do it all at the same time. So I'm not saying that it's not possible, because sometimes men also do have feelings of overwhelm, but a lot of time I do hear it from women quite a lot. So, and I think, yeah, it's because we take it upon ourselves. Oops, I'm sorry, dog is moving the cushions again, and like my whole setup here. So we tend to want to do it all. We have to take care of the house, take care of the kids, make sure that all the things for the extracurricular activities are set, that all the transportation, that we handle the homework, we handle the kids' behavior. We tend to, and on top of that, lots of time we have work to attend to. So we tend to want to do it all and have to deal with the whole thing in a way where we have everything in our mind at the same time, and that's why I think we as moms, tend to go to overwhelm quite a bit more than men. So one very, very important thing that I would like to stress out before I give out some points and some tips about overwhelm is that even though we feel that what is causing our overwhelm comes outside of us, I believe that our overwhelm is caused by things that are within us. I mean, it's pretty much something that we create and that we have within us. It's about the thought pattern that we actually create around everything that has to be done, that creates the overwhelm. And the great thing about this is that because it is not actually caused by things that are around us, and it is caused by things that are within us, we actually have it in our power to stop it and to control it and to manage our overwhelm. Because if it came from outside of us all the time, I mean, we would have no power upon it. Whereas now that we know that it's within us, then we actually can do something about it. So I would like to mention a few things that we need to realize and that are sort of givens. Number one is there is only so many hours in a day, and there is only a certain amount of things that we can cater for before our body starts telling us, like we are getting tired and we are sort of getting to a point where our body is feeling that we are doing a certain amount of things. And this is a given. I mean, you can't have more hours in a day than you are actually having. This is just not possible. I used to joke years ago, that I would ask more hours to Father Christmas at Christmas time, because I just wanted some more hours in the day to be able to do what I wanted to do. And yeah, that's just not possible, is it? we just can't do that, and there will never be more hours in a day. And actually now I do believe that it's not even a good thing, because should there be more hours in a day, we would just fill it in as we go, and we would find ourselves again with not enough time on our hands. So it's up to us to manage that time rather than just wanting more and feeling that we don't have enough. If I go back to before I started coaching, I remember a time where I was just overscheduling myself. I was working, I think, with 2 or 3 NGOs. I was starting to develop my practice. I was doing my training for the coaching. I had a young child at the time. He was, I think, 2 years old. And I was just trying to fit all those things in and having no time to do anything else. And I was just feeling exhausted all the time. I felt very efficient. I felt like I was doing a lot. But at some point I realized that if I actually wanted to stop this feeling, like in my brain, that there was like a whole lot of things going on and always running after the task, I had to actually reassess what I was doing and not overschedule the time I had. So that was number one. Only so many hours in a day, only so much we can do. Number two, it is not because we can that we must. And that is a biggie, because a lot of time we feel that we can do stuff, so we need to do them, we must do them. Or because we are really good at doing it, then we have to be the one doing it. And that is not the case. It is absolutely okay to delegate. It is absolutely okay to ask for help. So we don't have to be the ones to be doing stuff all the time, even though we may be doing it very well. We don't have to be the one to do it, because otherwise we find ourselves like dealing with a whole lot of things, because a lot of time you will find that it's not the people who have little skill that get overwhelmed, but it's people who have a lot of skills, and because they have that many skills, they feel that they have to put them into use, whereas it is absolutely not the case. So that was number 2. And number 3 is being busy is not necessarily being efficient. Hi, Emilu, nice to have you with me. So, number 1, only so many hours in a day. Number 2, not because we can, but we actually must. And number 3, being busy is not necessarily being efficient. Sometimes we think that we are doing a whole lot of things. We think that we are tackling like so many things and feeling that we are making progress, but we actually are not, because we are keeping busy with a whole lot of different stuff that is not making us necessarily move forward. The amount of time we spend on social media can be a big example of that. We feel that we are handling the messages and the posts and things like that, but actually at the end of the day, we don't really have to do that. They are not essentials in our day. So we have to be careful of people who tell you that they are always busy, always doing stuff, always have so much to do, because they are probably bringing on that business rather than handling the things that they should be handling. So that was just like a few givens about how we bring it to on ourselves. And now I'd like to share just 2 tips to deal with that overwhelm. So it's very simple. First one is, as I said, is to understand that you are the one that are putting the pressure upon yourself, and that because you are the one, you have the power to stop it all. It's in your hands. You have to understand how feelings go and how emotions are created, and then you can have power to see where you are putting that pressure. Remember when I was telling you just a few minutes ago about when I was overscheduling my time, and one of the things was that I really felt valued and helpful and supportive in doing that. When one of the NGO I was working with, I had worked with them a while back, and then I had been asked to come back on the board, so I thought a little bit, and then I said, okay, yes, you know, they want me, so I feel important and valuable. So I went and joined, and I spent three years on the board with them, and it was great, and I had a great time. But then at the end of the 3 years, it was time to renew, and it was right at the time where I really felt I was overscheduling my time, and it was a time where we had how do you call that, when they all meet, like the time where you either renew your post on the board or not, and there was nobody to fill that spot at the time. So a few months earlier I thought, well, oh my God, I'm just going to have to reapply because they have nobody. And they were coming at me and saying, oh yeah, don't you want to come back? And I already had said, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to, because I've got such and such and such that I want to spend my time on. But they were, oh, but we have nobody and we need people. So it was like this tug of war where it really feels like you have no choice. But at the end of the day, it is your choice. And you still have to assess what is good for you, and it is in your hands. So at the end of the day, I was able to help them find somebody else and create a space for somebody else to come in and take my spot, and I didn't renew that board membership, which I think was one of the greatest thing I did, which, I mean, I didn't feel like I was letting them down, because I really felt that it was what I needed to do and the choice that I made for myself. So really, like, the first part is really to understand that it is in your hand and that you don't have to, like, the pressure that you're feeling from all the external things is actually pressure that you're putting upon yourself. So it's very, it's actually, like, when you can realize that, it's a great feeling of empowerment that you actually can do something about it. So that would be number one. And then number two, once you realize that, then it is important to prioritize and set boundaries. When I said no to that NGO, that's when I set my boundaries. It was like a clear, I cannot do that, I need to spend my time on a whole lot of different things. And then prioritize on things that are really important, not only things that are keeping you busy. Just one example is, before I started coaching, overscheduling was one thing that I was doing, and then another thing that kept me a whole lot in overwhelm was that I was always working, and I was always doing things that I felt was making me move forward. And at the same time, I was not giving him enough time to important things like family time, like spending quality time with my son, and just usual things like that. And that also was keeping me in overwhelm, because all the time I was working, I was like, oh my gosh, but you know, I need to do that, and I don't have time to play with my kid or tell him a story or things like that. And that keeps the loop of overwhelm going. So now, when I prioritize my time, there is a chunk of time that is kept for family time. And that is a non-negotiable time. I keep it for specifically where I will not come, unless I have like really something important coming up. But otherwise, I will keep it and I will stick to it so that I don't, so that I really sort of protect that time. For me, it's like really important stuff, like my family and my husband and my son and other things that I need to cater for. The rest of the time that I have, which is limited, like I said, we only have 24 hours in a day, so the rest of the time that I have, I do prioritize onto tasks that will really bring me to where I want to be. So for that, you can use a whole lot of tools to schedule and organize, but like the two things that are really important when you do schedule and organize is to prioritize and to set boundaries. So I hope that helps. I have two comments of people who did comment on the I've got a dog coming again, who did comment on the post. Let me just check if there is some live questions right now. I'll do that on my iPad because I can't really check on the phone. I'm not sure how to do that. Okay, so there's no comment here. So I'm going to read out the comments that I got and react to them. So first of all, thank you, Ninke and Beryl, for commenting and interacting with the post. So Ninke was saying, I am looking forward to this. It's right up my alley. I'm a star at going and going until I break. Have literally ended up in a clinic like that. So yes, absolutely. I mean, a lot of us do. But what you describe here, actually, Ninke, for me, it sounds more like burnout. You don't actually mention these feelings of, maybe you do you have them? I don't know. But like in your post and when you write, you don't mention these feelings of, oh my God, like how am I going to handle all this? Like of being sort of completely blocked by the whole, everything that you have to be doing. So if it's more like burnout and you just go until you just crash, then I would say just go back to the video I did on taking care of ourselves, where I talk about, like the pressure cooker, where you don't feel the pressure building and then you just crash. Because that is important too, just for taking care of ourselves part. And I would say if you do have these feelings of like overwhelmed and how will I handle all this, then I would say for you it would be like if you have a tendency to go, then it would be prioritize, set a schedule, set like a non-negotiable time that is family time or yours, and put boundaries. We have to learn to say no to things that we don't really want. Like a lot of time we will receive requests from outside, and sometimes it's fine to say yes because we want to do them, and it's really something that excites us. But sometimes it excites us, it values us because we feel like, yes, I mean, we've been asked and we feel important about it, but it's actually we feel pressured. We feel like, oh, like we don't really want to do it, but like how can we let them down? Well, you're not the only one, I'm afraid to say, and it's not letting them down. It's taking care of yourself and of what you need to do for yourself. So thank you again for your comment. That was very nice. So Beryl had 2 comments that she posted on the post. So first of all, she said, when I am overwhelmed, I turn to intense organization, list writing, grids for use of time, timelines for projects with in-between steps laid out, Excel spreadsheets. It takes my time a little, orders my thinking, and determine the no and the unknowns. Yes, absolutely. I also, I am big on scheduling. I am big on list building. I've also found some online tools that I absolutely love. I have a task scheduler, I have a calendar, I have like a whole lot of things that help me organize my time. So this is very helpful. This is something that you can use. These are tools that you really can use to stop being in your head and put things on paper. But then, while doing that, I will also advise, again, the prioritizing and the setting boundaries. Why? Because I have found myself using all these tools and still being overwhelmed. I remember not long ago, I think it was last year, where I was feeling a whole lot of this overwhelm, and I was using all these tools, but then I would find myself doing 1 or 2 tasks during a day, and then the whole of a bunch of tasks that I had set for myself, I would just send it to the next day. It was like, okay, this one, okay, tomorrow, this one, tomorrow, this one, tomorrow. So for weeks and weeks and weeks, I would just take everything and, oh, sorry, there was a low battery message here. So I would take everything and I would just switch them to the next day. And this is a sign that you are actually overscheduling your time. So great, organization is great, but just be careful of still not putting too much pressure on the time that you are having. She also say, I just saw something about overwhelm by email, which described the phenomenon as receiving a gift sooner than expected or when feeling underprepared for it. Perhaps if it had come along a little later, I could have coped better. That's like what you should say to yourself, I suppose. But it's still a gift. How about that for an angle? And yes, also, absolutely. All emotions, in my opinion, and overwhelm is an emotion, all emotions are good and are gifts. Even anger, sadness, frustration, and overwhelm, like things that anxiety, like all emotions that we typically call negative emotions. There's no, for me, there's no negative emotion in the sense as there are no emotions that are bad for us. All emotions are there for a purpose. We need to understand what the purpose is, and we need to see how we can shift that emotion that we don't want to have into something that is more useful. So typically, for example, when I work with someone with overwhelm, what we will do is trying to understand, and this you can also do for yourself if you would like, is to try and take a step back, breathe slower, and try and understand what is this overwhelm trying to give you as a gift. What is it giving you? What is it? Why is it here? Is it protecting you from doing too much? Is it telling you that you should be focusing on something else that is more important that you are kind of shying away from? Is it, there's a whole lot of different things that it can be there for. So, but the thing is, most of the time we don't learn the lesson, we don't listen to it, and we just try to push it away. Or we get so overwhelmed that we don't do anything with it. So it will keep coming back because we're not getting the lesson. So going within and trying to understand what and why it's there can be very, very helpful into dealing with it. That was it for me for overwhelm. I'll just check again if there is any other input. Okay, so I am going to wish you a very nice day because I think my battery is going to die too. I'm hoping it's going to last a few more seconds. So have a nice day and a nice week, and I'll see you in the group during the week. If you have any comments, any questions, as usual, don't hesitate and post them below. And otherwise, I'll see you again for a live next week. Bye.